say na me light but me nim also light about.
But me demo my dear chin. Me badge macro na mai.
Na mai. Okay. Me so me so affiliation empire abani trust me so possible somewhere release the timetable na my so the be will be planning the life very well.
No, correct. And this is what we've been advocating for since last Monday. They are planning life. But Yammer substantive issue has got to do with the issue of IT in our elections. And from Monday, and started conversation around BVDs, the non-use of indelible ink in our elections. The National Democratic Congress is very clear on that. However, the opposition, government or Tiabam said, why not? We can go ahead and use the BVDs without necessarily resorting to the indelible ink as a means of identifying Womu Akwa. And this is what you wrote on Facebook. With your kind permission, Mami Enkai. Also, please, the NPP, Mr. NPP, the BVDs do not remove multiple registration. Deputy IT Director, it is only used for what is known as one-on-one verification. To remove multiple registrations, AFIS and ABIS are used, and the process is known as deduplication and not quarantine. As you stated, the BVDs, once again, do not identify voters. After physical identification, it is only used to verify and authenticate one's identity. Understand the distinctions between identification, verification, and authentication. But you take him kakramai na brofo no so.
Yeah, that was only you can be an IT person, but you may not understand dear friend, is a biometric systems. Biometric system a different scope in the IT field. And you need to have practical experience before you can really understand it. And lucky for some of us, we've worked with NIA for almost 10 years. And until I was sacked when this government came. So we have, and it was not like we were just mere worker. We rose from the rank of technical to be the head of systems in NIA. So we understand when we talk about biometric verification. Yes, and now make sure deputy IT, deputy IT at forcing. Someone know I was getting confused a bit. Now let me explain the whole thing to you. But
Sefa Dankwa.
Sefa Dankwa, okay. Before I just say bank may explain identification, verification, authentication, actual, and some about use system. But so banker now go use car, said before so use car. The first thing that you do say, where is your card?
No credit.
And I say identification card.
No credit.
Before I saw the bank card, before I saw the Ghana card, Emma Keller now. Or show picture now a work card in the show. No, show when you made the same thing now. At that point, he has physically identified you. Say, picture now work card, the same as what is on the picture. But on confirming your identity.
Debbie.
But just what you are saying. So because we can have twins both the same thing. But on confirming your identity. The next stage of being is Obobo Ghana card number that one the system to see whether that card number exists in the NIA system. So board number no what system anymore. That is called verification. That means we'll verify the card is authentic. Now the last stage to also still on confirm you. Now the last stage to confirm that you are Sefa Dankwa is to scan your barcode or the QR code on your card and ask you to do one-to-one authentication. Or scanning out those status not a confirmation say yes, this is Sefa. That point, what confirmation say you are the true owner of the card. And so I'm explaining the three types. Say they are different. That's the difference.
Okay, So identification, verification, and authentication. So the authentication only takes place after we've had a year 2-tier. A year, for example, you've been identified. Say, oh, you need panwa or card in this one. Number 2, verify say ampa card no I kutamino. It's the same DIN, also the same information I will provide and also on my system.
And I say, a card now genuine.
Genuine. Number 3, and it say you do a fingerprint. Authenticate okay, this card, he holds it, his name is on it, and indeed the biodata that he's provided, it's a card, no,
Thank you. That is simple thing. That's the explanation.
And so what do the BVDs do? Do they identify, verify, or authenticate?
The BVDs do verification and authentication. It does not identify. It only do verification, authentication to confirm the identity of a person. It does not identify. Now, let me explain the BVD, how everything works. Now, after EC, ACO rounds higher registration, some of your registration, everything is done offline. It's me, I say, police station A, I register. Police station B, I register.
No, correct.
Police station have so many steps. At that point, the system will not detect, say, I've registered double. Because the systems are offline.
Happy FM.
Now, after registration, that is when the EC puts all the data and go and put it into a system we call the AFIS, Automated Fingerprint Identification System. And I say ABIS, which is called Automated Biometric Identification System. Now, on the data that is where the unique identifier, which is the fingerprint, check and see, say, I register double and I say me register double. It is a detector say, I register double that it moves my data to adjudication. So if you remember, after the limited registration, the EC wrote letters to all the political parties asking them to come for the deduplication process. So, as Mr. Force in Kalindrano, the biometric device does not automatically remove people. It is the human. Yes, echo remove. Say, oh, register police station A. Also register police station B. Now, let's check what was his intention. Was his intention to do so or register double and so the questions we ask say, or changing the DIN, or changing the date of birth, or changing the location. The moment we see say all these things are different, that means the person had an intent to perform criminal activity. But so she say, they say different. An idea, picture, no idea. Because, for example, in the NIA, there was a timer. There was this woman. Ocha picture, no see a nyanife. And he say, oh, it's okay. The next time you come here, was register for this time, was just shoot.
Happy FM.
So when it came for adjudication, we noticed that she had a clear intention because every first picture, no nyanife. So second one, no pay. So we allowed it to go. Now, if you remember, Aisha one. Once he registered, and a man and card. But back, no call register, They were able to issue a new card with different identity. Now ask yourself, it was not the fault of the biometric system, no. It was somebody who was at the office doing the adjudication and was clear, no. And after adjudication, now deduplication, BBI data in area. On election day, what the EC gives, and I pay attention very well. All the BVDs are loaded with constituency data. So, for example, my constituency of Ayawaso, with over 200 police stations, they will load it with the Ayawaso West Wagon data of voters, data on the BVD, and deploy it to all the to the district office. Now, it is at that point, now technicians are supposed to activate it to police station specific. So, for example, if I'm at Roman Catholic A Church, there's an activation code that the EC technician ever enter so that the data is limited to only my police station. Now, they are supposed to do it for all the police stations, all the BVD devices.
Mm-hmm.
The questions we should ask ourselves is that, did they do that? Now, sir, any criminal technician, and decided to all activate to police station specific. What this means is that if me, Yayra, I vote in police station A, then I go to a different police station within the same constituency. When they scan my QR code from the register, I can still verify. But also what you said. But the only form of identity I bet you say I have voted is the indelible ink. So the indelible ink is there to perform the physical identification of the voter. The BVDs only do what we call the verification and authentication. And she said, what's the EC officer? What he does is that of a BVD now, no scanning QR code, no booklet in so. Now, scanning QR code in a booklet, the QR code it containing your date of birth and your voter ID.
Happy FM.
So the voter ID now goes and search on the BVD to check whether that data exists. Now, the moment that data exists, now then your picture comes up for you to do what we call the authentication. So if the EC comes out and says, say, they are going to do away with the indelible inter, that means it's a recipe for disaster. The likelihood of people voting from police station and moving to another police station to vote, is you can do with human. So far as it's human, that thing is possible.
So even with the processes of Sony data national, it's not done automatically.
No. So it's only what it does is that it only tells you, say, these are the people who did the what's the name?
The registration.
Who registered double. Do you accept it or do you decline it? It is when you accept it, it will go in as double. But when you decline it, then it takes only one. That is why the EC does this with the political parties.
Let me.
IT systems don't work in isolation.
Okay.
IT systems work with human. So if a human is compromised, expect the IT systems to be compromised. Now, in a cyber world now, I deal with social engineering. In the cyber world, hackers no longer deal with technological methods to attack systems. They deal with humans. So we say that the weakest link in any cyber attack is the human. The moment the human is vulnerable, expect the system to be compromised.
And that's critical. That's why the National Democratic Congress is making that suggestion. Say, yes, the BVDs could be used, but also we should go ahead and use the indelible ink as another tier of verifying that people indeed have gone to the respective polling stations to go and vote.
Thank you, my brother. That is all that we are asking for. Because the issue is that so far as the human is part of our electoral process, and that human can be compromised, expect that the BVDs can be compromised. But if the BVDs were working alone, and AI, even with that, AI systems are developed by humans. So anything can happen. So what are we asking for? All that we are asking is that ask another tier, which is the physical appearance of the voter. So let's answer my two police station A. Now me call police station B. Now indelible ink, you know what means, sir? Me walk you no club. We bet my baby say, "Aqua, we register double. Why vote that?" I don't know that's all. Now say, now say that's what kill more. Who will detect it? The BVDs will not even detect it.
How do we build a robust system and to even say we now have a very robust system, foolproof. I need to say I don't cross here use BVDs. Use indelible ink. You bet me at Twaba, bro, be a bit me at Jatumu. At what point we will get there?
There cannot be any foolproof system in the world. We only strive to achieve the best.
Happy FM.
But what is important here is that, don't forget, there's a human being as part of any technological system that is deployed. Now, the BVDs are supposed to work offline. As we speak, the BVDs are supposed to work offline. But don't forget that this BVDs has a SIM module in it. Wait a minute, even SIM card, it can work online. All these things are there. So, if you can tell the political parties that these things are working offline, but behind the scenes, it may be working online. I can develop a system for you.
Happy FM.
And say for election voting. All parties, I can show it to you that, this is an e-voting system. Obiabe check it, say, who vote here one. But a day before, I can just tweak the code to favor one person. By a day before, no one will say, okay. But that day, the system will not work to that perfection you want.
A quick one.
So far as humans are part of our electoral system, we should always do everything possible to make sure that we eliminate every system that will make it possible for people to vote more than one.
So the issue, Samitiwasia, and if I am right, if I'm wrong, correct me. The issue has got to do with the human factor in the process.
Thank you.
But before we go, a quick one. Tiwi, now I need a quick response on this, because this was a question that I put to the Deputy IT Director for the New Patriotic Party, Ura Stephen Forson, Enra Pacho Timame.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm say identify. Identify.
Could that be a pointer? For example, there could be a malfunction in a biometric verification device. Nankasa say it will be to me register 2 times and I said 3 times, but still only parent in a sakotoswa is not able to do the phishing.
No.
But your voice me very low.
And your device no na
database
device
the voice me low, so me no question here.
I'm the ninja ko good database bim. Me a database person. I manage data, large databases. What they call good database? I don't know which software you'll be using, which structure where you say management software or the database, either Oracle or SQL or whatever way. What they call Guma? Your favorite primary key. On some a primary key or ID card number a primary key. You who any of these primary keys no ever data anymore FSO out. Until and yet device nankasano.
Okay.
And the device no the data no go so. Now more so
the
various
data management software. No?
Yes.
And a bebo I'm waiting me a fish out.
Exactly.
So it will be a multiple registration.
Exactly.
All right. Ote there.
Which question?
Mibusane said, at what point and the BVDs could be compromised with, and as a end to me enye juma was say it to me for example say obi to me multiple registration now so onipa no be coding is akwakosi BVD ni so no it is unable to fish out, and I say it's unable to tell say nipa na multiple registration.
Okay. I thought I explained this process already, but let me re-emphasize it. As he said, and yet the BVD that do the deduplication. The BVDs don't do deduplication. That statement must be clear. The BVDs is only loaded with the data, voters' data, after deduplication has occurred. Now, as I stated earlier, The deduplication is the process of removing multiple people from the system. Now, that is not done with the IT system alone. It is done with the human. So in our case, with the EC, it is done with the political parties to remove those who voted multiple. So before EC loads any BVD, it means that they are loading data with somebody who has not registered more than one.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what you are saying. But the issue is that if you have two BVD, EC LOD each BVD with constituency data. So one constituency, if they have about 60,000 voters, they load each of the BVDs with the 60,000 voters ID, voters record.
Mm.
What that means is that if I verify on BVD A, I can verify on BVD B because it works offline.
So there is no synchronization?
No. The BVDs are not synchronized. They don't work online. They work offline. That's why the data are loaded on an SD card and put it into the BVDs.
Mm.
Now, because it's loaded with the constituency, you can even load it with the regional data. You can even load it with the whole country data. But when they are loaded with the constituency data, the technicians are supposed to activate it to the polling station specific. What it means is that even though you've loaded the BVDs with about 60,000 data for a constituency,
mm-hmm.
if the technician activates it to maybe polling station A, and polling station A has only about, let's say, 800 data voters, once it is activated, only the 800 data works.
800 a year voters, no? And now could be and say, Kwasimintim DA polling station. Normally 800. Sandy Paduano and as a BVD no, they should appear on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so activate it. 800 no one be that constituency. That police station, sorry.
Mm.
But the question that we are asking is, what if the EC technician do one activation? What happens?
That means that you can do the verification multiple times. Ubetimi ako DA school akwakoye. Ubetimi ako Amanfe store akwakoye. Ubetimi ako Wofabruni police station akwakoye.
Thank you.
Okay.
That is all.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure the EC will come out and say, if they should hear, they will say, oh, if you don't do the activation, the BVDs won't work. But you and I know, it's human that is doing that work.
Mm.
That clause can just a click of a button or just a line of code can remove that clause from there.
All right, Yakuku. With the explanation you've given, I think that we are having a wholesome conversation because we are hearing from multiple angles, from the political parties and from independent point of view. And I'm very glad to say, so any attrition come over to me in this way. Okay,
Mr. Vidal.